dum diddy dum diddy dum.
Hello and welcome to the Analyst Inside Cricket in association with LV Insurance and our look at the first day of the second test, the second LV Insurance test at Lord's, the home of cricket, the opening of the Compton Edrich stand, England winning the toss and putting India in, and you thought, hooray, this is going to be a great day for England. No, not really. Actually, it was a great day for India if we take an impartial line, because I think their batting today, apart from perhaps a little bit of a struggle for Pujara, was outstanding. Simon?
Yeah, absolutely superb. Brilliant test match batting in difficult conditions. I mean, people say, oh, England put them in and they're 260 for 3 is a horrendous decision. But actually, it felt like a bowl first morning. It was overcast, the lights were on, there was some rain around, and actually stayed like that for I don't know, 5-6 of the day. I mean, they were good, relatively good bowling conditions all day. India would have bowled first as well, but the situation now is that India are in a fantastic position, and it might spin back end of the game. They've got the chance of getting 400 plus, 500. Who knows? They've got Pant tomorrow and Jadeja tomorrow. In England, it feels as if England are in a pretty tricky situation in this game. It's a great opportunity for India, and the weather forecast is good as well. So what's not to like about India's position at the close of the first day?
Yeah, and it's certainly an unusual circumstance. Well, and it's one of those things where Joe Root putting the Indians in would have been totally justified in it. But the unusual circumstance, at the end of the day, they're more than 250 for 2, or actually 3. They lost a wicket at the end, near the end. But I mean, it felt like a 250 for 2 achievement in a way. I know there was that sort of consolation wicket, or actually quite an important wicket of Virat Kohli at the end of the day. But it felt like a 2-wicket day for most of it. Both of those wickets to Anderson. And it must be a rarity for England to put a side in these circumstances, perfect bowling conditions, and have so little reward.
Well, I can tell you, this is via Andy Zaltzman, 47 times that England in a home test have won the toss and chosen to bowl, put the opposition into bat. Today was the first time in the first innings of those games that the opponents have got to 250 with only 2 wickets down. So the first time ever in a home test match. So the toss decision has never, in quotes, backfired as much as it did today. But again, I think it's worth emphasizing it did feel like a bowl first day. And the thing is about cricket, there's often that default position. Teams always bat first. You've got to have a reason to put the opposition in, haven't you? If you win the toss, that's the feeling. I suppose, what does it come from? History, received wisdom, the fact that people feel that pitches deteriorate over time, it becomes harder to bat, harder to chase. Is that necessarily so? No, I mean, I think Nathan Lehman, the England stats man, has shown that sometimes, often, that the second innings of the match it can be the best time to bat. And I think that's what England were definitely thinking that. I think they were thinking bowl first today, make decent inroads, and then the forecast is good. The pitch will flatten out second, third day. Unfortunately, the problem for England is that it's going to be India who get to bat on that second day, when the pitch, might well be better. And of course, now the ball might turn as well, back end of the game.
Of course, groundsmanship, pitch preparation, such a fine art. And what a groundsman will try and do is get the pitch ready sort of almost the day before, so that it's got a little bit of moisture in it, or say on the Tuesday, and then the moisture's gradually going out of it. They might just do a little sprinkle on the Wednesday, so that by the Thursday it's pretty dry. There might just be a little hint of moisture in the pitch on Thursday morning, and that's why they say, get through the first session, and then it should be a good batting pitch. That's the kind of perfect scenario for a groundsman. But if you have a bit of inclement weather on that, leading into the game, or on the first day of the game itself, that rather scuppers your careful planning. So, there was a little bit of extra juice in the pitch. The overhead conditions also perfect for bowling. Any bowler worth his salt getting hold of a Duke's ball would want to bowl in those conditions today. And actually, I don't think England bowled that badly. I think you could say, well, it didn't make them play enough. But that actually negates to praise the Indian batsmen for their skill, their quality, and their judiciousness at leaving the ball. 2 guys, incidentally, who I can't. You think of them as one-day cricketers in a way. I mean, KL Rahul always opens the batting for Kings 11 Punjab, amongst other IPL franchises he's played for. Rohit Sharma famously, has 27 one-day international hundreds. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Including 3 doubles. And you don't think of him really as a test player, sort of premierly or, primarily. But their test batting today was outstanding. I mean, Rohit Sharma's innings today, 83, he deserved 100. The way he resisted to the playing his natural game, actually, for a start, he managed to rein his own instincts in. And I think actually he quite enjoyed the challenge of dealing with the moving ball and what to leave and what to play and what to attack and what to defend, almost like he'd found another level in his game. You can see why test hundreds or excellent test innings, top test innings are so satisfying to players, because it isn't just see ball, hit ball, which one-day cricket is. It's so much more about judgment and tempo and phases of the game and reading what the bowler's trying to do, and duels between you and the bowler, field settings which change. I mean, so much there to overcome, which he nearly did until Anderson just got him at the end.
Yeah, Anderson castled in for 83, opening stand of 126. I mean, we should talk about KL Rahul, because, I mean, there's a good argument for saying that this is in test match cricket, perhaps he feels that that's the ultimate anyway, that this is the day of his life, because he's opened the batting today. His team have been put in really testing conditions, and he has batted throughout the whole day, and he's still there. He can come back for more tomorrow. It does not get any better than that as an opening player, and at Lords as well. So he's up on the honours board, and he's batted through the first day, and the expectation is that his team would struggle in these conditions, but he's got 100, and he was played and missing from time to time. He was beaten. There was some movement out there, but he looked in control. He looked so calm and in control all day. So I mean, there's a very good argument for saying this. This has been the day of his cricketing life, really.
Definitely, and just to back up what we were saying about Rohit Sharma and his orthodoxy as well, just look at that picture there. If you're watching on video, that's a little still of a defensive shot. I mean, Geoffrey Boycott would be proud of that. Big front stride, left elbow high, playing the ball late, 45-degree angle of the bat, immaculate head position. That's Rohit Sharma, the man who takes 10 off an opening over in a one-day game if the bowling's a bit loose, has scored 264 in a one-day international, playing the most classic, regal block you could ever see. And KL Rahul sort of followed suit. The interesting thing about those two guys is, I've talked about their one-day skills and one-day records, and yet they don't play any differently, really. You think of England's opening pair in one-day cricket, Jason Roy, Johnny Bairstow, totally different to their opening pair in Test cricket. But India tend to keep the same guys for both. And because they've got that orthodox technique where they can just free their arms and hit the ball over the top in one-day cricket and leave it or defend it in Test cricket, they're able to do both, which is pretty remarkable, really.
Just on England's bowling, Yoz, you said at the start that you felt England didn't bowl badly. And I think Robinson and Anderson are absolutely right. They didn't bowl badly at all. Wood tried hard, ran in. It's a sluggish pitch. So that, in a way, he might have been negated by that. And he did actually top 95 miles an hour at one point. And Sam Curran, unthreatening, I would say. Today, I wonder if there was a case this morning for giving him the new ball. And the reason I say that, have a look for two or three overs, see if he can swing it, get onto the pads or nick off, and then Anderson at one end and Curran at the other, and then you can bring on Robinson and Wood, and let Curran use the new ball, which of course is what he does for Surrey, and has had some success doing that. Anyway, but Curran today, definitely not his day, and so there wasn't that sustained threat throughout the day. Robinson and Anderson, when they were bowling, it was a real challenge, a real test, and Wood as well, because he's got the extra pace, and there were a few short balls that Rahul was fending off, but perhaps not that sustained pressure. And Moeen bowled quite a few overs as well, but it's a first day pitch, and he did get one or two to just just go a bit, which makes you think, well, this is the first day. If it's going a little bit on the first day, not much, but just going a little bit on the first day, what's it going to be doing? Projecting ahead on the final day, fifth day, say, if England are in pursuit of quite a big victory target. So, there's that consideration as well. So, everything feels as though it's in India's favour. They did get the wicket of Kohli shortly before the close, which is a bonus, and a big one for Robinson as well, because it's always great to get top players out. And there is the Who's winning graphic. I see India ahead the whole day, right from the start in the Who's winning graphic, and well up there. I see around about 60% after the first day. I think they're in a fabulous position in this game. You really.
I completely agree.
England have to play really well not to lose this match. Or
totally
to
agree.
win it.
I think that Rohit Sharma innings will have the same impact on the Test match and even maybe the series as his imperious 100 in the second Test in Chennai on that very difficult pitch, where he made, I think, 160, didn't he?
Yeah,
and no one else. And a few people kind of got runs at the end of that innings, but he scored half India's runs. And get today, 83 out of 126, and he was flawless. I'm sorry to sound, I'm sort of eulogizing about him, but I just can't praise that innings highly enough. And KL Rahul could sort of almost hide behind that for a while and bide his time. And he was pretty slow. I think he scored his first boundary only just before lunch. And it might have been that six he hit off Moeen might have been his first boundary, actually. Whereas Rohit was just steering and gliding and occasionally pulling. I think the shot of the day was his pull off Mark Wood in front of square off a 93-mile-an-hour ball all along the ground in front of square into the mound stand fence. I mean, a fantastic player, and he's the reason why, really, backed up by Rahul, obviously, he's the reason why India, as you say, have a 60% chance of winning the game after this first day. The draw is 30%. I mean, that's a bit random. And in England's about 10% chance of winning. So it hasn't always proved to be that accurate, this graphic, but I think probably in this match, it probably is.
Well, that's just the state of it after the first day, isn't it? I mean, that's how you see it. Things can change, and England have got to try to make it change. Otherwise, you could see India going 1-0 up in this series.
It's the beauty of Test cricket, isn't it? That it is unpredictable. LV Insurance and the ECB's £1 million Fund for Runs campaign is implementing plans to transform access to women and girls cricket across the country, with the fundamental goal of making cricket more gender balanced. In support of this goal, Funds for Runs have awarded a grant to Fawley CC near Southampton in Hampshire, who are focusing on increasing the number of female cricketers involved in their community training sessions. The club has set an objective to run girls-only Dynamo sessions, which they'll use as a welcoming introduction for girls into the sport. Fawley CC is also looking to utilise the funding to ensure that cricket is accessible to girls from all kinds of backgrounds. They hope to set an example to their community by promoting and giving access to the sport to those that struggle with the costs associated with it. And actually, that is a great initiative. And cricket is an expensive game. To have to get helmets and pads and bats. And if you can borrow them, all the better. But the trouble is nowadays, with the sort of sanitizing situation and COVID and everything, borrowing kit is rather tricky. So anybody who can afford their own or can get their own through a sponsor is going to benefit massively.
One thing we should talk about is the first day of a Test match, of course, which means team selection, and England making 3 changes today. Stuart Broad, I mean, that's quite a big blow for England out of the series. He might not have played all 5 Test matches, but he was England's bowler of the summer last summer. Took 1 wicket at Trent Bridge, out for the whole summer. So, England are without Pope, Stokes, Broad, Archer, Wokes, Stone. There's quite a bit of talent missing from the squad. Mark Wood coming in for this Test match. But I suppose of more interest is what happened at the top of the order, the batting changes, I suppose. Lawrence out, Moeen in for more balance, but Hamid in for Crawley. Crawley removed from the side. They could have made change, another change at the top of the order, I suppose, with Sibley being taken out of the side, but he's been given 1 more game. But 3 changes, it felt as if England did need to do something with their batting. Now, they have done it. So the focus inevitably will be on Hamid batting at 3 rather than opening the batting. He opened at the start of his Test match career. What do you make of that? What do you think of that change? Crawley out rather than Sibley out?
Yeah, I would have kept Crawley, and I would have had Hamid instead of Dom Sibley. It's harsh on Sibley. I just feel that Crawley offers you something a bit more authoritative as a player. Whereas,
despite the fact he's averaging only 11,
yeah, I know he is, and maybe the solution or the strategy is to give him a break. He needs a break from how to get out of the spotlight and just find his own game again, and that's fair enough decision. I just think he's tall, he's got long reach, he's got a great range of shots. If he could just get over that difficult early period in his innings, if he could be protected from the new ball for a start, because England have a habit of losing early wickets. They haven't had many 50-run opening partnerships, which makes all the difference to a number 3 and a number 4. So I feel that Crawley's a bit unlucky. I think Hamid, obviously deserved a chance. It's quite interesting. Did you see the state of his fingers? He's been hit on the fingers quite a lot in his career, and he looks like the sort of somebody who's just come out of hospital with about 4 different protections on each hand, which is slightly concerning. I mean, maybe they're there just literally as a precaution, but he's going to be facing up to some quite severe fast bowlers. I just hope he doesn't get a bang on any of them. What a great story though. What a great return. Having had been absolutely at the nadir of his career a couple of years ago. I think he averaged 11 or something, didn't he? One county season, and sort of basically dropped by his county, Lancashire, and not re-engaged, went and joined a new county, took a year to get into sort of some kind of rhythm, and now he's back. And it's a brilliant story. And Jeffrey, of course, he was known as Baby Boycott. I see Jeffrey was there today, bending the ear of his favourite Indian, Sourav Ganguly, for half of it.
and Rishi Sunak, I think, as well.
Oh, so, God, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. The Chancellor Exchequer was there and getting the benefit of Jeffrey's wisdom as well. Well, there we go. I mean, you actually would be interested to know what was being said, or whether Rishi Sunak would have got a word in.
I'll see if I can find out tomorrow. Actually, I'll go and visit that box and see if I can find out. I'll get from Jeffrey what the conversation was about. Then obviously it'll only be from his point of view. Rishi would be the one to talk to actually about it, wouldn't he? What was it like actually meeting Jeffrey? He'll go on about the Yorkshireness of Rishi, won't he? Because his constituency is North Yorkshire in Richmond, pretty near where Jeffrey lives. Anyway, so yeah, interesting selection changes by England. I mean, they obviously missed Broad. Broad would have bowled well in those conditions, and that's a worry for England that he's had that injury, and goodness knows when he'll be fit again. We should give an award to someone for their In With Heart performance today. That's an LV Insurance speciality, In With Heart award. So my choices today are either KL Rahul or I suppose Jimmy, really, for the perseverance. But we gave it to Jimmy before, so maybe we should give it to KL Rahul this time.
I think definitely. I mean, that is an innings of great resilience, and if ever an award has been created to reward an innings or a performance, I think it's got to be KL Rahul today. Fantastic, that determination as well to see it right the way through to the close of play. So yeah, definitely KL Rahul today.
Yeah,
I mean, in a way,
yeah.
Yeah, tremendous application. I mean, we talked about England's team selection. What we haven't done is talk about India's team selection. And Hamid is, when he does get out to bat, he is actually going to be faced by a really testing attack. When you consider India have got Ishant, Shami, Bumrah, and Siraj, and that's a pretty useful 4-man pace attack. And I remember the last podcast we did. We mentioned this that Kohli said, we like the balance of 4 and 1, and you said, no, they won't do that for Lords. You poo-pooed it. I remember the word you used. I think you might have cut it out. I'm not sure. Anyway, they have gone with 4 and 1, but I dare say I think they could win it both ways. Actually, they can win it with 4-1, or they could win it with 3-2. In the situation they are in, definitely now, and they might fancy having Ashwin in the fourth inning, the fourth
they
innings
might.
of the match.
And the other thing is that it's a great incentive for a bowling attack. If you see after Jadeja at number 7, you see the 4 number 11s fighting to come in at number 8. Who's going to come in at number 8? Ishant or Bumrah, because he got 20 the last game. His average before that was about 3. I mean, they're all pretty ordinary. So if only England can just break through this 4th wicket stand and get at Pant and Jadeja, you're sort of thinking as a fast bowler, if we can just get them 5 or 6 down, we can be putting our feet up in 20 minutes. So that's the thing that England have to go in with overnight and focus on in the morning.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the disappointment of them not taking early wickets, in good bowling conditions this morning. There was enough there. Sometimes it happens for you, I suppose, and sometimes it doesn't. Perhaps it's just one of those days, and India played really skillfully. On another day, you might have nicked off a couple of times, and you'd be under pressure, and you would expose that tail much earlier. But anyway, it's India have got the runs in the bank, and they have got the bowling attack to put some pressure on England in the rest of this game, whether they play 4-1 or 3-2. But if you could have a super sub, I reckon Ashwin introduced later in this game would have been would be a change that you could make. But they got enough firepower to make it difficult for England. Anyway, I think that's the realistic way of looking at it. First day, all the honours to India. I mean, that Chennai Test match, the England won so emphatically earlier in the year. At the close of the first day, they were 263 for 3 and went on to win the game on the 5th day. India 276 for 3 in a fantastic position.
Yeah, and really, only Anderson with a mercurial spell in the morning can stop them. We'll be back this time tomorrow to see if he managed it. Thanks for listening or watching.
Dum diddy dum diddy dum.